everyone, look what I got. Yeah, that was weird. I just woke up, so my voice is not really warmed up, so if it sounds a bit weird, that's the reason. I'm going to be going to work soon and got a few things to do. Got to always buy more ingredients for baking, but I thought I would share these two things with you. So yesterday I went to Chinatown in Sydney for amazing ramen, and nearby there's a really amazing grocery store that I usually go to, and they in the recent year did actually refurnish and make it huge, like bigger than they used to be, and they used to be huge already. And they always stock a lot of really unusual Asian stuff that you might not find in other good Asian grocery stores. So it's kind of like, for me, like I love grocery stores, and it's just like digging treasures when I go there. Fortunately, I don't go there as very often anymore, just don't really head that direction, so it was really fun. So if you don't know, pineapple cake is kind of a traditional Chinese dessert. It's a kind of pastry where it's usually cube-shaped, well, not cube-shaped, rectangle, so flat kind of rectangle, small, maybe like 3 to 4 sort of centimeter rectangle squares. And the pastry is a thin pastry base where it's kind of this amazing buttery pastry, kind of like the marriage between a cake and a buttery short crust pastry. So it's kind of like crumbly, but it's stable, holds the shape really well, dense yet fluffy at the same time. It's really something you really should try, and yeah, so like if you've never tried it, maybe go look for like the biggest grocery store around you, or see if you can order online, because it's really amazing. It is a funny kind of pastry because it's my favorite when I was growing up, and I still love it a lot. One of my favorite pastries. But the thing is, even though it's called pineapple cake, the paste in the middle, it's like chewy, soft, and really nice texture. But really, it's actually not that much pineapple, because pineapple doesn't actually yield as much fruit when you dry it and cook it off. So what they actually do is, I think when you make it, it's often cooked with another kind of melon. What was it? I think in Chinese they call it donghua, winter melon or something, or some sort of melon like that, with like a bit more neutral taste, but gives you a lot more flesh when stewed down or cooked down in the pan. So I think usually, I've looked it up very briefly before, but I don't really remember, but I think they usually cook the mixture like it's just some pineapple, some winter melon, and sugar. Don't quote me on that, but that's essentially what it looks like. For like a really obvious close resemblance, this one's probably the most obvious resemblance. It looks literally exactly like it. I almost walked past it. Okay, so why am I so excited about these two? Well, I quite love durian. Some people are kind of really not into it. And I find it very interesting in the sense that I've only had durian once or twice in Taiwan, and I thought it was fine. It was a frozen one. They told me it tasted a bit like ice cream, which it really didn't. The texture wasn't exactly the same, but I thought it was a very fragrant and quite an interesting kind of fruit. The reason why I find it very interesting and want to try more of it is because apparently different countries or different breeds of it can actually smell very different. That's why a lot of people's experience also differ, and that's pretty interesting. The other one is Taro. So we've got the durian feeling, which I'm really excited about. And then we've also got the Taro feeling. If you haven't had Taro before, it's pretty impressive to see when you see it like in real life as an actual vegetable. I believe it's a root vegetable. It's kind of like a sweet potato shape ish, but it's also humongous. It's like usually when you go to a grocery and if you find them, they're like all this big, and you're just like, what am I going to do with this? So I wouldn't recommend buying it unless like they come in smaller portions, or if you were going to make a huge amount of it, because it's kind of like sweet potato. The size doesn't really stew down to a very little amount. It's pretty much a similar amount. They're very nice, sweet, very fragrant, has a pulpy texture to it if you brew it in like say milk tea stuff, like bubble tea stores. And it's very creamy. Hard to describe the taste, to be honest. But it's used in a lot of Asian desserts and has become more and more frequently used in everything. Sometimes you find it in little dumplings, etc., etc. But anyway, that's enough of the background story because I gotta get to it as well. So let's just give it a try. I almost forgot about this morning. I was just like, alright, I gotta get up. Oh. And recently I only do night shifts in the cafe that I work at, and we close at 10 p.m. and we open really early. So like I start during the day or in the evening about like 3 o'clock or 3:30. And honestly, recently I have no idea why I cannot sleep until like 3 or 4 a.m. in the morning. So I've been really like feeling weird and sleepy and everything. Okay, they come in a pretty standard size. Nice packaging. They have like the cheaper ones and the more slightly expensive ones. I went for the slightly more expensive ones, which was, I think each box was around $4.50 to $5 max. The cheaper ones were about $2.50 and sort of a sleeve of 5. But I remember I've had that brand before and it really wasn't good even for the original. So I did not want to go for that brand in case it ruined the experience, because it just wouldn't justify the flavor, and I didn't really want to ruin my idea of the flavor from just doing that. So let's give it a go with the Durian one first. Oh yeah, this is packaged really, wow. Okay, so they're individually packaged with the, I don't know what you call those, but the things, the little sachets that keep it fresh. Let me know if you know down in the comments, because I like to learn. And then each one also has a little tray. That's so cute. Made really rustically, as they always are. Yeah, so the pastries always have this, I'm actually really curious to look it up again now, because the pastries themselves smell really amazing. They have a very, very different smell to any sort of Western pastry. It's got this like very floral, fruity, but slightly like punchy kind of smell. And it just really makes you salivate, but it's just, I'm trying to think, how can I describe this? It doesn't smell like durian for sure, this one. It smells literally the same as how you would, the smell of like a regular pineapple cake as well. This looks so weird. Yeah, it's just, I don't know how to describe it, but it's such a nice floral smell, and it's just almost like, it's almost like a sweet buttery kind of flavor. Alright, so, yeah, these ones don't really break very easily. It's better for the mouth rather than your hands, so let's just give it a go. Whoa! Okay, that is strong. Okay, whoa. Whoa! Okay. If you've ever smelled durian before, and go, I don't mind it, but that is a really potent smell, especially when you've had the really, really ripe and really fresh ones. It is a bit of like a kind of slightly stinky and really, really rich and almost to the point like when fruit's gone, like you imagine like when fruit's gone a little bit too ripe and almost on the verge of starting to rot. This is not making it sound appealing. This is exactly like the smell of like a really, really spot on durian is literally what I'm tasting. So like what I'm smelling is exactly what I'm tasting. And I'm tasting it before I can smell it too. Actually, the smell isn't really strong, but as soon as you bite into it, the feeling's a bit denser. It's a little bit firmer than the usual, which is a bit lighter, a little bit creamy, almost like a really hard kind of like jelly. Yeah, kind of like more like a paste, like a red bean paste kind of texture usually, but a little bit firmer. Whereas this one is like, it just tastes like a slight difference in texture to the actual pastry on the outside because it's really dense. And it's a pretty thin layer, but I can see why, because you don't need a lot to get the flavor. It's so strong. I took literally one bite and I feel like I just probably put my mouth on half a durian. I don't know how to describe the texture of the pastry. On top of what I've said earlier, it's also a bit like, it's like, imagine like when you crumble up the sweet short crust pastry that you use for a really nice buttery pie, but it's not, it's just a little bit lighter, even though it's very nice and buttery. And it's almost like the texture of it in your mouth, it almost feels as if you've crumbled it up in a processor until it's really fine crumbs, but it's just really smooth and it is literally held together just until like your mouth bites into it and just kind of falls apart and dissolves in your mouth. It's a really good pastry. It would be actually really cool to do a fusion of that with some sort of Western dish, I think. Yeah, comment down below if you think that's something I really should do, because that would be really cool. I would think of something for that. Alright, next one is Taro. Again, packaged in a similar kind of size, different color. There's 芋头酥. See, apparently this is actually a specialty from Taiwan. I assumed that it was probably something that was just popular across China in general, or Hong Kong or somewhere else, but it might be just from Taiwan. Because I did grow up eating a lot of these, but I don't think I've seen it that much in other places. But yes, so this is really cool. Alright, let's see if it's actually the same. It might be from the same brand. No, different brand. Okay, so the shape of this one is really well made. This is much more like how I remember it. Rustic, but really, really well shaped, like perfect rectangle. Almost like sort of the, how you'd imagine a mahjong would look like. Oh, wow. That is weird. Okay, this one smells straight off completely different. You don't smell the pastry much at all. It's just like a really strong aroma of almost like a chocolatey aroma. It first hit, for some reason, reminds me a bit of Nutella.
Here's the game plan.
Yeah, that's weird. It just kind of reminds me of a bit of like this creamy, like Nutella and chocolatey, cocoa-y kind of flavor profile, which I don't really would associate with Taro, but it does smell like Taro as well. Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, it's got a strong, creamy, but slightly like that fruit kind of sweetness with like sweet potatoes in that, but like really combined with like a cocoa-y flavor profile. That's amazing. Alright, let's give that a try. That's really interesting. This one to me kind of reminds me of like when you're eating something like a mochi, because some mochis have got taro flavor feeling as well, like a taro paste inside. And it's generally a little bit of a lighter flavor profile, but because the dense, they put so much into a mochi and the texture's overall quite soft with just so little sort of outer coating, I guess you could say, because of the mochi is just skin. The flavor's a little bit stronger than that. This is like super fruity and super light for what it is, especially for what it smells. So it's almost like smelling something really heavy and rich like Nutella, but then you're biting into it and then It's just almost like eating a very floral, fruity kind of dessert, like very lightly. Yeah, it's almost like eating, I would imagine, it's almost got this kind of light sort of rose kind of fragrance while you're eating like a apple kind of dish. So it's like kind of like perky, punchy, bright, but really smooth and rounded, and then really sort of floral at the same time. So it's actually a really nice experience, and you really get to taste the pastry a bit more. But it's just interesting because you're getting so much like that cocoa and sort of root vegetable combination, like the Nutella kind of smell for some reason, and like really nutty. But then when you taste it, it's a complete different experience. Eating this on the bed was a really bad idea. It's kind of the only free space I have now though. I'm not sure which one is, when you're eating this, the texture feels very dense, but it seems like it's a bit lighter overall with the flavor profile experience. It feels like you get a bit of breeze of like that aroma, and it just kind of lightens things up. Whereas when you're having the durian one, because of the flavor profile and the aroma being kind of like a punchy, really heavy one and really dense, it seems like that one's even denser because it's already dense. This one smells really nice though. It's almost like a really nice pie feeling. Really great. Yeah, I don't know how to describe the Taro in this, but I guess my best bet would be to describe you as what I just said. It does taste a bit like a really tasty sort of apple kind of flavor. It's got that apple sweetness, got that creaminess of like a root vegetable, and then a bit of that floralness. So Taro is a very interesting vegetable. I really recommend you guys giving it a try. Yeah, so what do you guys think? If it was between the two, which one would you like? Have you had Taro or durian before? Leave a comment down below and let me know. I'd really like to know about other people's experience. It's really fun. Yeah, so I guess that's it. I really got to get going, but I want to take this chance to, when this video does go up, because editing can take a while, really want to thank you guys for bringing the channel over 100, and I'm working on the 100 sub cake. I don't know if it's coming up before this or after this, but thank you so much for supporting the channel. Thank you guys for subscribing, for following me on Instagram, for giving me feedback, giving me ideas when I ask about it sometimes. So thank you so much for that, and I promise to bring lots and lots of good stuff. There's a huge amount of stuff that I've got to list down for what I want to bake. They might always kind of shuffle around and change, but there's promises of, I promise you that there's a lot coming, and I hope you really like what you see. And don't forget to like and thumbs up and subscribe. Yeah, don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe if you like the video. I'm trying to do a bit more tasting videos just so you can see my face a bit more and get to know me, and also just, you know, it's good practice. It's actually really interesting trying to talk about things. It's the same experience as when you learn coffee, you're trying to talk about the flavor profile. I think it's kind of part of honing the skills that would help do baking a bit more, because when you're tasting stuff, if you're better at tasting things and better at getting and discerning flavors, it might really help with that experience, I think. And it's just fun. I love tasting new stuff. So yeah, if there's anything new that you think I should look for that I haven't tasted before, or just interesting stuff that you'd like to see me taste, leave a comment down below about that too. Alright, I think that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed this experience. I'll see you guys next time.